Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Robinson, and welcome to another exciting edition of Striving for It All. This is the program that gets you caught up on anything and everything happening around the WNBA. And there's a lot that has been happening recently in the W, so let's get right to it. In case you've been living under a rock, CaitlinClark, quite possibly the most polarizing player in the 27-year history of the WNBA. Well, if things could not get bad for her, during the week, the announcement of the United States Women's Olympic Basketball team, Team USA, the team was announced, and Caitlin did not make the team. Here are the list of the members that will represent Team USA for the women at the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris. Jewel Lloyd from the Seattle Storm, Kelsey Plum from the Las Vegas Aces, Sabrina Ionescu from the New York Liberty, Kahleah Copper from the Phoenix Mercury, Chelsea Gray from the Las Vegas Aces, Asia Wilson, also from the Las Vegas Aces, Breanna Stewart from the New York Liberty, Napheesa Collier from the Minnesota Lynx, Diana Taurasi from the Phoenix Mercury, Jackie Young from the Las Vegas Aces, Alyssa Thomas from the Connecticut Sun, and Brittany Griner from the Phoenix Mercury. Now, I do have some issues with the roster. First of all, Jewel Lloyd, definitely deserving to be on that team. Sabrina Ionescu, same as well. Kahleah Copper, definitely deserving to be on that team. Breanna Stewart, Napheesa Collier, and Alyssa Thomas, all deserving to be on that team, even though Kahleah, during the week, kind of turned me off a little bit to how she handled that report at the press conference. I did not like that, but anyway, we'll touch bases on that in just a little bit. But Kelsey Plum, I don't know. I think there were the three names that, in my opinion, the three people that I don't know, in my opinion, the three members of that team that I don't think should have been on that team, in my opinion, Kelsey Plum, Brittany Griner, and Chelsea Gray. Brittany Griner has only played in 2 WNBA games this year. She's played in 1 preseason game, and then she wound up fracturing her toe as she recently came back to play in the Commissioner's Cup. Chelsea Gray has not played in a WNBA game since October of 2023. She's been out nursing an injury, and her status is going to be doubtful for the Olympics. I mean, it's going to be a miracle that if she comes back and will even be ready for Paris in late July. So Kelsey Plum, again, I think Kelsey's one of my favorite players in the WNBA, but I do not know if she would have been on the Olympic team. Aside from CaitlinClark, which I'll get into with the whole Caitlin situation in just a little bit, aside from Caitlin that could have made the team, I'll throw in some names for you that could have been on that roster. DearicaHamby, Skylar Diggins-Smith. You can also put Nneka Ogwumike, who's really having a comeback year this year. Those are just some names that I threw in there that could have easily made that team. Now, as far as Caitlin's situation is concerned, again, there's been a lot of shade that's been thrown at Caitlin even before the WNBA draft, even when she was still at the University of Iowa. But Caitlin left off of Team USA. She wasn't disappointed, but there were a lot of people that had other things to say about this. But Caitlin, doing the best that she can. She's trying to make the best out of the situation. But again, Caitlin says she's not disappointed. Here's what she had to say for not making Team USA.
Excited for the girls that are on the team. I know it's the most competitive team in the world, and I know it could have gone either way, of me being on the team, me not being on the team. So, I'm excited for them. I'm going to be rooting them on the showing gold. I was a kid that grew up watching the Olympics, so it'll be fun to watch them. Honestly, no disappointment. I think it just gives me something to work for. It's a dream. Hopefully one day I can be there, and I think it's just a little more motivation. You remember that, and hopefully in 4 years, when 4 years comes back around, I can be there. Yeah, they called me and let me know, and before everything came out, which was, really respectful of them, and I appreciated that, and they did the same for every girl that made the team or every girl that didn't make the team. There's a lot of players in the Olympic pool, so.
All right, that audio was courtesy of the WNBA and the Indiana Fever. So you heard what Caitlin said. She's not disappointed for being selected for Team USA. She said the other young ladies are deserving to be on that roster, and rightfully so. But I still, again, the names that I mentioned, Kelsey Plum, again, huge fan of Kelsey. I've loved her game for time, but I don't know. That's a 50-50 situation for me on this. I know Kelsey, along with her teammate Jackie Young, they were a member of the 3x3 team that represented Team USA for the women in the last Olympics in Tokyo. Kelsey, you can go maybe 60-40 on that one. Chelsea Gray should not be on the team. She hasn't played since October 2023. Brittany Griner's really been hurt for most of the year. She's trying to work her way back into the rotation for the to play for the Phoenix Mercury. So, again, the names that I mentioned that could have taken those spots. Arike Ogunbowale, who is a walking buzzer beater. Skylar Diggins-Smith. Oh, my goodness. Nneka Ogwumike, DearicaHamby. Man, those names could have easily been on that team, but especially Arike, who is a walking buzzer beater. If you had not had an opportunity to watch the Dallas Wings this year, Arike Ogunbowale has been a sensation since she's been in the W, and especially being that point guard, being that pace setter, that fire starter for the Dallas Wings. Again, Arike, Dearica, Skylar, Nneka, those names could have easily replaced at least those three that I mentioned, especially with Brittany Griner and Chelsea Gray. Now, it was revealed this week that the alternates in the event there is an injury or if something happens, then the alternates would be CaitlinClark and Brianna Jones from the Connecticut Sun. Now, CaitlinClark was invited to Team USA training camps. She was invited in November, and I believe she was invited in April. Caitlin was unable to attend because she was in the middle of her season with the University of Iowa, fulfilling all of her college commitments. There are a lot of, in my opinion, BS excuses as to why Caitlin was left off of the team, and I'm just going to call it how I see it. I think, as I stated earlier, even before the WNBA draft, even when she was still at Iowa, a lot of pettiness, a lot of jealousy, being so short-sighted, and not looking at the bigger picture. When I saw that CaitlinClark was left off the United States Women's Olympic Basketball team, the first thought that came to my mind was that not only, well, I know it's not a WNBA thing, but Team USA failed Caitlin tremendously. It really failed women's basketball as a whole in terms of growing the game on a global level. This could have been the Michael Jordan moment. This could have been the Michael Jordan 1992 Dream Team moment. And I'm going to get into all of that with the globalization in detail in the next storyline that I want to discuss. But with CaitlinClark being left off of Team USA, this could have been the Michael Jordan 1992 Dream Team moment where not just with Caitlin, but along with the rest of the ladies on that team, all of them would have become, well, CaitlinClark is a household name, but the rest of them would become household names, not just in women's basketball, but for the WNBA. More eyes, more revenue. Rising tides lifts all boats. And that's not what I'm seeing right now. It's the complete opposite. It seems to me it looks like they want to be shipwrecked or be on a deserted island. That's not good. That is not good at all. And being left off of Team USA, it hurts the chances of them growing on a global level. and I'll get more into the next storyline in just a little bit, how the WNBA is not utilizing Caitlin's star power, as well as the other rookie members of that rookie draft class as well. But to sum it up all in a nutshell, for Team USA, representing this year's Summer Olympics in Paris, Jewel Lloyd, Kelsey Plum, Sabrina Ionescu, Kalia Copper, Chelsea Gray, Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Nafisa Collier, Diana Taurasi, Jackie Young, Alyssa Thomas, and Brittany Griner. The head coach of Team USA for this Olympics will be Cheryl Reeve. And we know that Cheryl has been very outspoken about her disdain for CaitlinClark on various social media platforms, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. She has pulled no punches about her disdain for Caitlin. And, again, this is a moment that Team USA, they missed. And who knows what's going to happen in the next 4 years when the next Summer Olympics come around. They'll be in America, in Los Angeles, but who knows what could happen in the next 4 months. Maybe Caitlin will fulfill her rookie contract with the Indiana Fever. She may play for Ice Cube's Big Three. She may decide to become a broadcaster. She may just become a brand ambassador for all of her for the endorsement companies for the companies that she's endorsing. Who knows what could happen in 4 years? But bottom line is this: this was the chance to make this thing global, and they dropped the ball on this one. Team USA dropped the ball, and the women that are being petty towards CaitlinClark, they dropped the ball as well. And it transitions over to my next storyline. Why the WNBA is not utilizing CaitlinClark's star power. Again, this goes back to the recent names of the roster that was released for Team USA. I called those names earlier. Again, CaitlinClark being left off of Team USA, this was supposed to be the Michael Jordan 1992 Dream Team moment. In the 1980s, the NBA needed stars. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson saved the NBA in the 1980s. The Lakers-Celtics rivalry, Bird-Magic. Not just with Bird and Magic, that rivalry saving the NBA in the 1980s. Not just with Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, but you know who else was behind that as well? Dr. J, Julius Erving. We saw the evolution of Michael Jordan. We also saw the evolution of Patrick Ewing taking place. Reggie Miller, Chris Mullin, all of the stars in the 80s hopped on board of the Bird and Magic rivalry. Isaiah Thomas, the Bad Boys, the Detroit Pistons. Charles Barkley came of age in the 80s. All those gentlemen were on the heels of the Bird and Magic rivalry. That rivalry saved the NBA in the 1980s. So you had Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, their rivalry. Lakers, Celtics, their rivalry. And behind that is the names that I mentioned earlier: Michael Jordan, Isaiah Thomas, and the Bad Boys, the Detroit Pistons, Charles Barkley, and so on and so forth. And then in comes the 90s. It's the end of the Bird and the Magic era, and Michael Jordan takes the game to a whole nother level. Michael Jordan, as well as the 1992 Dream Team, they globalized the game, made the game worldwide. That's why you have players like Nikola Jokic, Victor Wembanyama, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic. Also, you have players even before those gentlemen that took the game to another level. Players coming from Lithuania, players coming from, the former Yugoslavia, Tony Kukoc, representing Croatia, playing for the Chicago Bulls and being a part of that second three-peat. All of those players that I mentioned was on the backdrop of Michael Jordan and that 1992 Dream Team. The WNBA has been in operation since 1997. The league has never made a profit. For so long, players in the league have talked about charter flights. They've talked about eyes being paid attention to the league. They've talked about money, wanting to be a standalone league. In comes CaitlinClark, and now there's so much resistance. So an opportunity for not just the WNBA, but for women's basketball to be on a global level, and now you want to come in and you want to not take advantage of the golden egg, the golden goose, I should say. CaitlinClark, listen, the WNBA broke attendance records and ratings records in the month of May due to the CaitlinClark effect. What CaitlinClark did in 1 month, the WNBA has failed to do in 27 years. The WNBA, in my opinion, has had a lot of positives in terms of athleticism, basketball talent, and being, for the most part, fundamentally sound. But they have failed tremendously in marketability, revenue, and having a sustainable business model. The WNBA has lost $10 to $12 million every year. And now there's reports coming out that the WNBA is expected to lose $50 million this year due to the league now incorporating charter flights. For the way CaitlinClark has been treated, and for the way she's been treated, not just in the WNBA thus far, but being left off of Team USA, there's a lot of questions to be answered about all of this. Again, a lack of foresight, being so short-sighted that you can't see the forest from the trees. Team USA had an opportunity to include CaitlinClark to make the game more global, not just women's basketball, but the WNBA as a whole. We live in a global world where you have so many people can access not just cable and satellite, but also with the streaming platforms as well. People can access things anywhere, anytime. Thanks to social media and thanks to the continuous advancement of the internet. And I feel like the opportunities are just continuing to be fumbled so bad, or as they say today, the WNBA is continuing to fumble the bag. So for a league that has continued to cry out for attention and want eyes and money and wanting to stand alone, they're not doing a great job. CaitlinClark is the catalyst. Now, Asia Wilson is the best player in the W currently. You could say she's the face of the league. But CaitlinClark, along with that 2024 rookie class, they are the catalyst. And they need to utilize not just Caitlin more, but the other the other rookies in that draft class as well. This is the year. This was supposed to be a breakout year for the WNBA, not just for CaitlinClark, but for women's basketball. A chance for it to grow globally, and also it's also a chance for them to stand alone. And for decades, they talked about wanting to be self-sufficient and wanting to get from under the umbrella of the NBA. Well, that's not looking good right now, considering all the treatment that's been happening towards that young lady. And again, the short-sightedness, the pettiness, the jealousy is just not good. And you're trying to grow the league. You talked about wanting these positive things, and it's not happening if you're having this harsh treatment towards someone. I get it, the play is physical. I'm all for the physical play. I'm all for competition. But you have to remember, CaitlinClark and Angel Reese had the opportunity to set the tone for a Larry Bird, Magic Johnson type rivalry that could galvanize and could put the WNBA to the next level, put them on another stratosphere. You have to remember, economics. Economics keeps things going. And the business model has never been good for the WNBA. And it's not going to improve anytime soon, unfortunately, with this behavior and with this attitude. And the WNBA, remember, their media rights deal is going to be up in 2 years. So from now until 2026, they have to take advantage of not just the CaitlinClarks, but the Angel Reeses and the Camila Cardosos and the Cameron Brinks. They have to take advantage of what they have right in front of them. And they can't get it done if they're being short-sighted and not looking at big picture. They're not looking at the big picture right now. They're just not. You can just tell by the attitudes and the resistance, not just towards Caitlin, but the attitude and resistance towards trying to grow the game, the marketability, looking at big picture in terms of being self-sufficient and having their own revenue, having their own ways of generating revenue. You know, some things in life are like lightning in a bottle. CaitlinClark was like lightning in a bottle at the University of Iowa. During her time at the University of Iowa, I mean, she captivated not just the state of Iowa, not just the Midwest, but she captivated a nation, and all eyes were focused on women's college basketball. On the back of CaitlinClark, Paige Beckers, Juju Watkins, Hannah Hidalgo, just to name a few. And everybody paid attention to her. Everybody paid attention to the University of Iowa. People paid attention to Dawn Staley and the University of South Carolina, Camila Cardoso. People paid attention to Angel Reese, Flau'jae Johnson, Kim Mulkey, and the ladies at LSU. People paid attention to that. And it was supposed to be, and it galvanized women's college basketball. And that same fervor, that same excitement was supposed to transfer to the WNBA. That hasn't been the case so far. This is like lightning in a bottle right now for the WNBA. They're not capitalizing on this opportunity. They are fumbling more than just the bag. They are fumbling opportunities. Something's got to give. Something has got to give. And nothing's given with them right now. And if they don't get their act together, the league, if they want to, if they have to get their act together. If they don't get their act together, the NBA will not be subsidizing the league much longer. And then they'll have to fend for themselves, pay their own bills, and then maybe they will embrace CaitlinClark, and maybe they will do a much better job of marketing the athletes. Maybe they'll do a better job. Maybe they'll do a better job of getting a sustainable and a strong business model. You have not made a profit, never, in the 27 years the league's been in existence. What CaitlinClark did in 1 month, the WNBA has not done in 27 years. Let that sink in. And finally, for my last storyline, the New York Liberty. So the New York Liberty, they finished the month of May winning 2 games in a row, and they've just been on a hot streak. And since this show, I mean, this show has aired. Well, should I say, as of right now, since this show is airing, the month of June has been really good to the New York Liberty so far. They've won 5 in a row. Breanna Stewart continued to play at a high level. Sabrina Ionescu, you know what she brings to the table. Jonquel Jones is outstanding. Betnijah Laney-Hamilton playing well. Kayla Thornton is doing what she does best. And Courtney Vandersloot is the floor general. She's out there doing what needs to be done to get the job done. So Sandy Brondello, again, another fantastic job as the head coach of the New York Liberty, looking really strong going into the All-Star and Olympic break as well. So big ups to the New York Liberty, playing great ball right now, again, being consistent. I mean, they're good. They're so versatile, from start to finish, no matter what position, guard, forward, centered, whatever, wherever. They're just at the peak of their powers right now, playing so good, playing at a very high level right now. And again, kudos to the New York Liberty and that talented roster that they have on their team. All right, before we get into the highlights and things of that nature, just some more news to pass along to you. I mentioned her name earlier, DearicaHamby. Well, Dearica rewarded with a contract extension to remain with the Los Angeles Sparks. Matter of fact, she signed an extension that will keep her in Los Angeles through 2026. So again, congratulations to DearicaHamby. Of course, one of my favorite players in the W. She's been one of my favorite players for quite some time, and certainly somebody that's always consistent, somebody that she can play. If you need an outside shot, she can do it. If you need her to get rebounds, she can do that as well. And also to the rebounding, I mean, she's just one of the top versatile players in the league. So again, congratulations to DearicaHamby on a contract extension. I beg your pardon, the contract extension is going to be through the 2025 season. So definitely deserving of it. I hope she can be around and be in Los Angeles for a little while longer, because, man, they've got a great nucleus that they're developing that team with, alongside the rookies Cameron Brink and Rakia Jackson, and then of course Kia Nurse is in the mix as well. So definitely they can try to build a nucleus with Kurt Miller in his first year as the head coach of the Los Angeles Sparks. But again, congratulations to DearicaHamby for getting that well-deserved contract extension to stay in Los Angeles through 2024. All right, so now let's recap the week that was in the WNBA. So let's start with action from May the 28th. We had the Los Angeles Sparks going up against the Indiana Fever. The Sparks would beat the Fever 88-82. The Connecticut Sun handled their business, beating the Phoenix Merc 70-47. And the Seattle Storm beat the Chicago Sky. Final score 77-68. We move along now to action from May the 29th. We had the Atlanta Dream beat the Washington Mystics 73-67. The New York Liberty would beat the Phoenix Mercury 81-78. The Las Vegas Aces took care of the Minnesota Lynx 80-66. We move along now to action from May the 30th. We had the Seattle Storm beat the Indiana Fever 103-88. We had the Chicago Sky beat the Los Angeles Sparks 83-73. From Friday, May the 31st, we had the Atlanta Dream beat the Las Vegas Aces 78-74. The Connecticut Sun beat the Dallas Wings 74-72. The New York Liberty would go on to beat the Washington Mystics 90-79. And we had the Minnesota Lynx would go on to beat the Phoenix Mercury 95-71. And then we move along now to action from Saturday, June 1st, which was the beginning of the Commissioner's Cup. Now, for those of you that may not be familiar with the Commissioner's Cup and what it is, the NBA, they have their in-season tournament. Well, this is the WNBA's version of the in-season tournament, the Commissioner's Cup. And how it works is this. The Commissioner's Cup is basically divided into different conferences, and whoever has the best record out of the Eastern Conference and whoever has the best record out of the Western Conference in the Commissioner Cup standings will face off later in the season to determine who will win the Commissioner's Cup trophy. So basically, for those of you that may not be familiar with how the Commissioner's Cup is basically the WNBA's version of the in-season tournament. They've been doing this for a few years now, and I don't know if anyone has had the opportunity to explain the Commissioner's Cup and how the format goes, but that's how it works. And again, they play these regular season games in the early part of June, and then there's a way on how they tally up who gets to go and who gets an opportunity to who gets an opportunity to play in the Commissioner's Cup Championship later in the year. So we had the first game in the Commissioner's Cup, which was between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. Indiana would win 71-70. Then on June the 2nd, we had the Connecticut Sun square off against the Atlanta Dream. Connecticut would win 69-50. Then we had the Phoenix Mercury going up against the Los Angeles Sparks. The Mercury would win 87-68. Then we had the Minnesota Lynx square off against the Dallas Wings. Minnesota would win 87-76. The New York Liberty handled their business, beating the Indiana Fever 104-68. And then on June 4th, we had the Connecticut Sun going up against the Washington Mystics. Connecticut would win 76-59. The New York Liberty would take on the Chicago Sky. The Liberty would win 88-75. And we had the Seattle Storm take care of the Phoenix Mercury 80-62. And in action on June the 5th, we had the Las Vegas Aces beat the Dallas Wings 95-81. And then we had also another action. We had the Minnesota Lynx beat the Los Angeles Sparks 86-62. And in action from June the 6th, we had the New York Liberty take care of the Atlanta Dream 78-61. And then we had the Chicago Sky beat the Washington Mystics 79-71. She's been controversial. She's been getting attention, unfortunately, for all of the wrong reasons. But hey, Kennedy Carter, one of the most high-spirited players in the W, no nonsense, fiery, somebody that, she is a motor, and she definitely displayed that in the Chicago victory. Here's Kennedy in action.
Off a loose ball takeaway, Reese comes back to Carter, who puts it up in transition. Carter in the paint, flipped that up. Carter attacking baseline, tough bucket for Kennedy Carter. Edwards goes down hard. Allen pushing, Sky with an advantage. Here's Carter, splits the pair. And she got through the teeth of the defense. Carter quickly down the floor, lays it up and in, count the bucket. Carter, that one right around the rim, and falls. Here's Carter, gets into the paint, puts that off the glass, lays it up and in.
Edwards turned that one over. Allen was able to shoot the gap and get it right back.
Carter gets the deuce, and Eric is not going to wait for the media timeout. Works off Edwards, gets to the hoop. Too strong off the glass. Mabry with the loose ball. Up the floor, Carter has Walker Kimbrough to beat and does.
All right, that audio courtesy of the WNBA and Prime Video. So Kennedy Carter scored 25 points in the victory. Angel Reese, hey, listen, Angel's been balling. You can make the case for Angel could be the front runner for this year's Rookie of the Year. She had a double-double with 16 points and 11 rebounds. Marina Mabry finished with 10 points. On the losing end for the Washington Mystics, Aaliyah Edwards had a double-double with 23 points and 14 rebounds. Shatori Walker Kimbrough finished with 11 points, and Ariel Atkins finished with 10 points. Again, the final score, Chicago 79, Washington 71. We move along now to action from June the 7th, and we had some intriguing games. We had the Phoenix Mercury beat the Minnesota Lynx 81-80. We had the Seattle Storm beat the Las Vegas Aces 78-65. We had the Los Angeles Sparks beat the Dallas Wings 81-72. And then we had the Indiana Fever beat the Washington Mystics 85-83. CaitlinClark, listen, once-in-a-lifetime talent. This is one of the few games in the first half of the year where she let loose. She scored 30 points. Here's Caitlin in action.
Clark trying to get by. The Mystic defense gets right to the cup and lays it up and in. Here's Clark. Picked up now by Dee Richards as she's into the ball game. Richards on the floor. Clark, the step back three just below the logo, drills it. Clark pulls off that screen, knocks it down. Even with her body fading, she can still control that shot. Clark, pull up three, that one. Clark, an absolute
possession here for Mitchell. Clark, another one.
Courtesy of the WNBA Ion and League Pass. So CaitlinClark scored 30 points in that contest. Also, Kelsey Mitchell finished with 16 points. Melissa Smith had a double-double with 10 points and 10 rebounds. And Aaliyah Boston had 10 points. Once again, the final score, Indiana 85, Washington 83. Also, another action, action from June the 8th. We had the New York Liberty beat the Connecticut Sun 82-75. The Atlanta Dream beat the Chicago Sky 89-80. Action from June the 9th. We had the New York Liberty beat the Washington Mystics 93-88. In overtime, the Phoenix Mercury beat the Dallas Wings 97-90. The Minnesota Lynx would go on to beat the Seattle Storm 83-64. And the Los Angeles Sparks in a close game beat the Las Vegas Aces 96-92. Action from June the 10th. The Connecticut Sun beat the Indiana Fever 89-72. And then we have games on June the 11th. The Washington Mystics beat the Atlanta Dream 87-68. The Minnesota Lynx beat the Las Vegas Aces 100-86. The Seattle Storm beat the the Seattle Storm beat the Los Angeles Sparks 95-79. Action from June the 12th. We had the Connecticut Sun take on the Chicago Sky. Connecticut would win 83-75. And then action from June the 13th, the last day of the Commissioner's Cup tournament. We had the Indiana Fever beat the Atlanta Dream 91-84. The Seattle Storm beat the Dallas Wings 92-84. And the Las Vegas Aces beat the Phoenix Mercury 103-99. And that takes care of the week that was in the W, including the Commissioner's Cup. So, interesting, the New York Liberty, they cruised during the Commissioner's Cup. The Liberty, very consistent. The Las Vegas Aces ran into a losing streak, but got able to get the train back on the tracks. The Seattle Storm. Listen, Noel Quinn right now is my pick for Coach of the Year right now. Noel Quinn has done an amazing job with the Seattle Storm so far this year with Jewel Lloyd, Skylar Diggins-Smith, Ezzie Magbagor. Also, listen, Nneka Ogwumike is having a comeback year, so definitely Noel Quinn doing an amazing job so far with the Seattle Storm. All right, so before we give you the league leaders in the standings in the W, let's give you just some of the player awards that we have currently in the W. And certainly, there have been a lot of players that have been making their mark thus far. So, for the week of June the 4th, the Eastern Conference Player of the Week is Sabrina Ionescu from the New York Liberty. And the Western Conference Player of the Week is Asia Wilson from the Las Vegas Aces. So congratulations to the Player of the Week for June the 4th from the Eastern Conference, Sabrina Ionescu from the New York Liberty. And for the Western Conference, Asia Wilson from the Las Vegas Aces. And then the Player of the Week for the week of June the 11th, Eastern Conference, Breanna Stewart from the New York Liberty. And for the Western Conference, DearicaHamby from the Los Angeles Sparks. So congratulations to the Player of the Week award winners. June the 11th, for the Eastern Conference, Breanna Stewart of the New York Liberty. And for the Western Conference, DearicaHamby of the Los Angeles Sparks. Now, our Player of the Month award winner for the month of May, the Eastern Conference Player of the Month, is Alyssa Thomas from the Connecticut Sun. And for the Western Conference, Asia Wilson from the Las Vegas Aces. Congratulations to Alyssa and Asia. The Rookie of the Month award winner for the month of May, CaitlinClark from the Indiana Fever. Congratulations to Caitlin. And the Coach of the Month award winner for the month of May, Stephanie White from the Connecticut Sun. Congratulations to Coach White, and has done a brilliant job for the Connecticut Sun. You're talking about consistency. They have been consistent so far in this first half of the year. Truly been amazing. All right, now before we get to the standings, let's get to the current league leaders in the W. Let's start off with points per game. The current leading scorer in the W is Asia Wilson from the Las Vegas Aces. She's averaging 28 points per game, followed by Arike Agumbawale from the Dallas Wings, and in third, Kalia Copper from the Phoenix Mercury, followed by Nafisa Collier from the Minnesota Lynx, and in fifth, Jewel Lloyd from the Seattle Storm. Next category that we're going to have is rebounds per game. Tied for first in rebounds, DearicaHamby from the Los Angeles Sparks, and DeArica's former teammate in Las Vegas, Asia Wilson. They both average 11 rebounds per game. Followed in third is Nafisa Collier, and then we have in fourth Alyssa Thomas from the Connecticut Sun, and in fifth, Angel Reese from the Chicago Sky. Next category is going to be assists per game. Coming in at number one, Alyssa Thomas. She's averaging 8 assists per game. Coming in at number two, Natasha Cloud from the Phoenix Mercury. At number three, Jackie Young from the Las Vegas Aces. Coming in fourth, the rookie, CaitlinClark from the Indiana Fever. And in fifth, Skylar Diggins-Smith from the Seattle Storm. Next category is going to be steals per game. Coming in at number one, Arike Agumbawale. She's averaging 3 steals per game. Coming in at number two, Ryan Howard from the Atlanta Dream. Coming in third, Nafisa Collier. In fourth, Brianna Stewart. And in fifth, Angel Reese. Next category is going to be blocks per game. At number one, Ezzie Magbagor from the Seattle Storm. She's averaging 3 blocks per game. At number two, the rookie Cameron Brink from the Los Angeles Sparks. Coming in third, Asia Wilson. In fourth, Natasha Mack from the Phoenix Mercury. And in fifth, Elena Smith from the Minnesota Lynx. Next category is going to be free throw percentage. Coming in at number one from the Chicago Sky, Dana Evans. So far, she's shooting 100% from the free throw line. Coming in at number two, Cheyenne Parker from the Atlanta Dream. Coming in third, Arike Agumbawale from the Dallas Wings. In fourth, Kayla McBride from the Minnesota Lynx. And in fifth, Brianna Stewart from the New York Liberty. Next category is going to be three-point percentage. At number one, Kayla McBride from the Minnesota Lynx. She's shooting 51% from three-point range. At number two, Elena Smith from the Minnesota Lynx. Tied for third, DearicaHamby from the Los Angeles Sparks and Stephanie Dolson from the Washington Mystics. And in fifth, Alicia Gray from the Atlanta Dream. And the last category that we have is minutes played. Coming in at number one from the Dallas Wings, Arike Agumbawale. She's averaging close to 40 minutes a game. Coming in at number two, Kelsey Plum from the Las Vegas Aces. At number three, DearicaHamby. In fourth, Nafisa Collier. And in fifth, Alyssa Thomas. And that takes care of your current league leaders in the W. Let's move over now to the standings. And things are, again, in New York, they're what right now. So, but also there are a lot of teams that's starting to catch up and slowly gaining a little steam as we continue in this first half of the season. Coming in first place are the Connecticut Sun with a record of 11-1. Coming in at number two, the New York Liberty. They have a record of 11-2. Coming in third, the Minnesota Lynx. They have a record of 9-3. In fourth, the Seattle Storm. They have a record of 9-4. In fifth place, the Las Vegas Aces. They have a record of 6-5. Currently in sixth place, the Phoenix Mercury. They have a record of 6-7. In seventh place, the Atlanta Dream. They have a record of 5-6. The Chicago Sky come in eighth place with a record of 4-7. Followed by the Los Angeles Sparks with a record of 4-8. The Indiana Fever have a record of 4-10. The Dallas Wings are next with a record of 3-8. And in last place are the Washington Mystics with a record of 1-12. And that takes care of your current standings in the WNBA. Now let's get you caught up on some games that are going to be coming up in the W. We start off with action on Friday, June the 14th, where we have the Chicago Sky going up against the Washington Mystics. Tip-off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central. Followed by the Los Angeles Sparks going up against the Minnesota Lynx. And tip-off is at the same time. And then we have action on Saturday, June the 15th. The Connecticut Sun go up against the Dallas Wings. Tip-off is at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central. And then we have the New York Liberty going up against the Las Vegas Aces. Tip-off at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Pacific. Then we have action on Sunday, June the 16th. The Chicago Sky will go up against the Indiana Fever. Tip-off is at 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. Followed by we have the Los Angeles Sparks going up against the Atlanta Dream. Tip-off is at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. And we have the Seattle Storm going up against the Phoenix Mercury. Tip-off at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 12 p.m. Pacific. And then we have a game on Monday, June the 17th, between the Dallas Wings and the Minnesota Lynx. Tip-off is at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. On Tuesday, June the 18th, we have a game between the Los Angeles Sparks and the Connecticut Sun. Tip-off at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. And we have the New York Liberty going up against the Phoenix Mercury. Tip-off is at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific. Then on action on Wednesday, June the 19th, we have the Washington Mystics going up against the Indiana Fever. Tip-off at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. We have the Atlanta Dream going up against the Minnesota Lynx. Tip-off at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. We have the Seattle Storm going up against the Las Vegas Aces. Tip-off at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific. On Thursday, June the 20th, we have the Dallas Wings going up against the Chicago Sky. Tip-off is at 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. And we have the Los Angeles Sparks going up against the New York Liberty. Tip-off at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. We have action on Friday, June the 21st, between the Indiana Fever and the Atlanta Dream. Tip-off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central. And then we have the Connecticut Sun going up against the Las Vegas Aces. Tip-off at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Pacific. And we have action on Saturday, June the 22nd, with the Los Angeles Sparks going up against the New York Liberty. Tip-off is at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. Also, same tip-off time will be for the Dallas Wings going up against the Washington Mystics. Then we have the Phoenix Mercury going up against the Minnesota Lynx. Tip-off at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. And then on Sunday, June the 23rd, we have the New York Liberty going up against the Atlanta Dream. Tip-off at 3 p.m. Eastern, p.m. Central. And also same tip-off times will be for the Dallas Wings going up against the Washington Mystics and the Connecticut Sun going up against the Seattle Storm. And then we have the Indiana Fever going up against the Chicago Sky. We have the rematch with CaitlinClark going up against Angel Reese. Tip-off at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central. So those are your games for the upcoming week in the W. Should be fun. Should be exciting, and hopefully they'll be on their best behavior, and maybe just somehow, some way, they can finish off on a strong note. Not just CaitlinClark, but the whole league. The whole league can finish strong going into the All-Star Olympic break. So again, record attendance, record ratings were set in the month of May. Hopefully, there's a change of heart. Hopefully, this could be a springboard to the next phase in the WNBA. They don't fumble the bag, and let's hope they don't fumble opportunities. And that's going to do it for this edition of the program. Until next time, everybody, I'm Ed Robinson, saying so long, and you take care. Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.